De Ligt faces a new challenge, and Arsenal legend has his say on Pepe. It's been a bad few days for football managers. Zaha refocuses on Crystal Palace, and a transfer roundup all coming up in the next few minutes, as I'm your host, Matthijs de Ligt. You are the Onefootballers, and this is the Daily News. First up, and Matthijs de Ligt needs to learn a bit from the Italian school of defending. That, according to his national team boss, Ronald Koeman. The Netherlands boss has said that despite the fact he's made a big money move, he hasn't actually reached the levels that he thought he would have in the first few weeks. This, as Matthijs de Ligt explained, is because he's still young and still learning, which of course is something not only Ronald Koeman but fellow defender Giorgio Chiellini has agreed with. At the weekend, de Ligt was at fault for the penalty that was given away against Inter Milan, but he then went on to mention that Juve won the game, so it didn't really matter in the end. This is something that has been a bit of a talking point since his €75 million move from Ajax. Basically, when he joined the club, there was Bonucci and Chiellini ahead of him. But since the injury to Chiellini has happened, it's meant that Bonucci and de Ligt are the two starting centre-backs, and de Ligt admitted that being thrown into the deep end so soon has had a little bit of an effect on his game. He will be hoping that after the international break he will hopefully pick up some more form and confidence and will head back to Italy with a better frame of mind. That's not to say he's performing badly, he just knows that he could be doing a lot better. Of course, Juventus will be expecting more in the future, but as we mentioned before, de Ligt is still very young. He's only 20 years old and has so much room to grow into that I'm sure, no doubt, he will be one of the best centre-backs in the world over the next decade or so. But next up to Arsenal legend Arsene Wenger, who in a recent interview said that their new signing Nicola Pepe will have to fight for his place in the Arsenal lineup, despite the fact he was their club record signing. 72 million is the amount that Arsenal paid Lille for the forward, but it looks as though things haven't quite gone his way in the opening stages of the season. After 10 games, he's only completed 90 minutes in the Premier League 4 times and only scored 1 goal, with many fans saying that his final ball and his first touch just aren't quite up there. Of course, he's just going to have to get used to a new style of playing. He was really the main man at Lille. He was their star man. He was one that everyone got the ball to, and he got a hatful of chances and loads of the ball. This is something that he's not quite at Arsenal, but it doesn't mean that he can't get there. Personally, I have full faith in him, and I think he'll go on to be a fantastic attacker. He just maybe needs a little bit more time than Arsenal may have anticipated. With the likes of Martinelli and Saka doing quite well behind Pepe, there is some pressure on him at the moment, but I've no doubt he'll come through it. But moving away from players through a minute and to some managers, where things are not looking very good for coaches in the last few days. Pep Guardiola obviously had a terrible defeat. Both Ole Gunnar Solskjaer and Mauricio Pochettino are both facing the sack, if reports are to be believed. And for a few coaches around Europe, that has already happened. So first up, and David Gallego has left Espanyol, with Pablo Machin, the former Sevilla manager, replacing him, as Espanyol sit close to the bottom of La Liga. Elsewhere, and Lyon have lost faith in Silvinho after just 1 win in 10 games, and apparently former France legend Laurent Blanc is suited to take over the job should Lyon speak to him. I also think that Laurent Blanc could be in with a chance for Manchester United should they sack Ole, and maybe he's got that thought in mind. Our former Sampdoria boss Marco Giampaolo has also been sacked today by AC Milan, who he only moved to in the summer. Stefano Pioli is the man to take over, having coached Fiorentina and Inter Milan in the last few years. But next, moving on to Wilfried Zaha, who had a summer of speculation surrounding his future at Crystal Palace. But now the Ivorian winger has said that he is fully focused on giving back to the Palace fans who have stuck with him so well. After all the speculation and transfer requests, it was actually pretty good to see the first day of the season they were cheering and singing Zaha's name. That really can't be said for many other players in the league who want to leave their club and then end up having to stay. The good thing about Zaha is that he's clearly willing to give to the cause. And even though he personally hasn't had the greatest start to the season, Crystal Palace have had a very good start under Roy Hodgson and currently sit 6th in the Premier League. Over the next few transfer windows, it'll be interesting to see whether or not he does leave, with reports that he still wants to play for a Champions League club firmly in the window. Personally, I think it would have been a good deal for Arsenal to spend the money they spent on Nicola Pepe on Wilfried Zaha, but they didn't, so things move on. I'm sure there'll still be plenty of teams looking at Zaha if he could turn his form around personally and reach the targets that he has set for himself, something which he says is a main contributing factor to his good form from last season. So now on to the rest of the day's transfer news, where Alexander Nubel, the Schalke goalkeeper and captain, is apparently going to join Bayern Munich on a free transfer at the end of the season. Crystal Palace are interested in bringing back Michy Batshuayi on loan from Chelsea after he spent the second end of last year on loan at the Eagles. Tottenham Hotspur goalkeeper and captain Hugo Lloris will be out until the beginning of next year with a dislocated elbow suffered in that defeat to Brighton. And Krylia Sovetov Alexander Sobolov, that's a mouthful to say, the 6'4" striker who has got 10 goals in 12 games at the start of the season, is being watched closely by Arsenal. So that's all from today's daily news. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Smash the like button and click here or here to check out all of the other videos we've got going on Onefootball. But until next time, I will see you guys later.